Welcome back, 412-575-2600 on the Bordas and Bordas hotline, or you can send me a tweet at Josh Taylor HD. Got a handful of phone calls we got to get to, and it just so happens they all want to talk Pirates. We will start with Ralph in Greensburg. Ralph, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Josh.
Yes, sir.
Hey, thank you so much for taking my call. Here's my problem, Josh.
Yes.
You know what? I'm sitting here for the last few weeks, and I'm listening to Bob, not so much you, Richie, and all the guests, and the blowing it up, yes or no. And the problem that I have is everyone flip-flops on what they want to do each night. Gene Collier 2 nights ago, he was talking about, after the rough, he's blowing it up, then he's saying not to blow it up. So my question is, before these Pirates could do anything on the field, we need to have kind of some accountability as far as the guests, not so much you, but the host of the show, on what we're going to do here. So, like, for example, tonight, what do we do? I'm throwing out what is your take on the situation where we're at today, after today, with Musgrove? What do we do? Do we blow this thing up, or do we move forward with this current team, at the deadline?
Well, all right. Thanks for the call.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I'll tell you. And now, bear in mind what I just talked about before we went to break, about how it's so hard to even look at what we're looking at the 6 inches in front of our faces right now, because none of this makes sense at all with what's going on with this team. I am a firm believer that, yes, eventually you do dismantle it. But do you do it right now? Not right now. And here's why. Here's why I personally say don't do it right now. Eventually, yes, you're going to have to start giving pieces away. But I don't do it right now. Because if you try to do it right now, you're going to try to enter a trade market that's virtually non-existent. There isn't much of a trade market in mid-June. And if there is a trade market in mid-June, it's usually for a guy that can fill a direct need. Now, I want everybody to be honest with themselves. Name one guy on this team that actually has been considered or discussed to be traded. And that could be a different list from person to person. It might be Starling Marte. It might be Corey Dickerson. It might be Melky Cabrera, whom I've talked about quite a bit, that I don't want him to get traded, but I think eventually he will be for several different reasons. That could be any of these pitchers. I've heard Felipe Vasquez's name mentioned. Why? I don't know, because I just don't think that's the right situation right now. But think of any guy on this team that you think is even in discussion of being traded. How many of those guys fill a direct need for another team that might need a direct need filled in contention right now? I can think of maybe 2. If you're entertaining the thought of trading Vasquez, he's 1. And Melky Cabrera is probably 2, as far as guys who fill immediate needs right now. Because I know a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, but I know there are some people out there that still aren't sold on Starling Marte. They don't like the inconsistent performance with him, and they think he should be traded. Now, here's my counter to that. If you think he's this consistent here, don't you think another team might think he's going to be inconsistent there? Now, I say that at the same time, caveat emptor, never underestimate a team's ability to think they can fix a guy. So that sticks out there too. But if you're looking at it in terms of blowing it up now in mid-June, when the trade market really doesn't heat up for another 2 to 3 weeks, so you're going to be bidding against yourself also. But how many guys fill immediate needs from this team that might be trade discussions right now? If you can answer that question truthfully, it probably answers the question of whether or not they should blow it up right now. Because how many of those guys are going to fill immediate needs for contending teams? How many of these guys will probably be a need filler for a team like the Brewers, or a team like the Dodgers, or a team like the Rays, or the Red Sox, or a team like even Chicago, or a team like the Minnesota Twins? Let's take the Twins. How many guys on this team would fill immediate needs for the Twins right now? Be honest with yourself. In the meantime, while you're thinking about that, let's go to Bob in Clearfield. Bob, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
Hi, Josh. Hey, thank you. Right now, it appears that the Pirates are as far removed from being a contending team at any time since the 2015, and a prognosis, the prospects do not really look good. And not enough attention has been paid to the Garrett Cole trade. Anybody who's a baseball fan who looked at the list of people who are coming to Pittsburgh would have been shocked. They were all 4 were very marginal prospects, all with deficiencies in their game, that the Astros, he said, were looking to move off the 40-man roster. They just cleaned out and gave Pittsburgh some basic junk. but even more alarming is the fact that there's nothing down in AAA. Brian Hayes is having a hard time hitting AAA pitch. Craig is Craig Wilson. He set a right-handed stick at PNC Park.
Actually, a pretty good power hitter in AAA. That's not accurate. But thank you for the call. I got to let you go because it's a 25-minute show. Let's break this down piece by piece. I don't know why we're analyzing the Garrett Cole trade, but here we go. Let's break this down piece by piece, guy by guy. Start with Joe Musgrove. You're getting what you see, right? Right now, he looks like about an average National League starting pitcher. I'm just going off the numbers here. Although he might have a slightly elevated fielding independent pitching, but that's beside the point. So probably average National League starter. Garrett Cole, some would say, was probably above average. At least before that last season, he was way above average. Colin Moran, probably one of the most consistent left-handed bats off the bench on this team. I think he's a guy who could probably play every day against a right-handed pitcher. I think he should get the lion's share of starts at third base. I think he's probably better than people give him credit for. But since he's a little bit slow and kind of shy, maybe a little bit weird, some people don't like him. Fine, I understand. Michael Feliz is a guy that I look at and go, why was he involved in this deal? This makes no sense to me. I'll give you that one. That makes perfect sense to me. So you weigh all those things. Who am I missing in this deal? There's another person. Jason Martin, whom actually is a pretty talented outfielder. When he got called up, it was probably a little bit too early. Injuries were more of a necessity. He probably shouldn't have been here in any circumstances, as opposed to Brian Reynolds, who came up, who also came in the Andrew McCutchen deal. Brian Reynolds has come up and has just shown that he's a pure professional hitter with no questions asked. But Jason Martin is not ready to be here at this level. I think it's too early to call on Jason Martin. The other three guys I think you can come to rational conclusions on. That said, yeah, they didn't get value for value in that trade. It was pretty obvious. I think everybody saw that coming. But it goes back to my original point. You don't blow this thing up now because A, there's no market. B, most of the guys that we're talking about in trades can't fill immediate needs right now. And C, the majority of them have low trade value. They moved Andrew McCutchen when he had low trade value. They moved Garrett Cole when he had low trade value. They moved Neil Walker when he had low trade value. That's probably why we got the returns that we did in those trades, because they traded them at the wrong time. We always talk buy low, sell high, right? It didn't happen with those guys. There's reasons why people don't like those trades. We'll go to a break. We got more when we come back. Stick around.